Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to ATL Prime Sports is live. I'm Larry Gardner, and joining me tonight are our wonderful people, our co-host, TC Todd Corder up in the Woodstock area, and of course, we're joined by our wonderful producer, Wayne Rodnauer in Memphis, Tennessee. You can follow the show, of course, at ATL Prime Sports on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, or y'all call it X, YouTube, Apple, and Spotify. Our own individual Twitters, JJ for at JJ Get You One, Wayne is at RWI Jr., Todd is at Quarter Todd, and myself, Larry Gardner, I am at LG, the number 4, Real Zoe. We've got a jam-packed show for you. We're not going to hold you long, but I'm telling you, we've got some information because you need to be here with everything that's going on in the Atlanta area. And so with that being said, my lovely co-host, Todd Corder, Wayne Rodnauer, the producer, we about to get it cracking. Let me tell you what's going on. The Falcons have hired Kevin Stefanski as the next head coach. It is, quote, unquote, Matt Ryan's first official hire as the president of football for the Atlanta Falcons. I have my opinion about it, but we're about to find out from the panel what everybody thinks, because there was some more news that dropped down just a little while ago in regards to Kevin Stefanski's staff. TC, I'm going to start off with you, my guy. Tell me, what do you think about this entire hiring process from top to bottom? Is Stefanski the guy? Is it the right guy?
Well, if you look at his record the last 2 seasons, the answer is unequivocally no at 8-26. Of course, he did have 2 good seasons where he had 2 out of 6. 4 seasons were really bad. I mean, I know it's the Browns and they've had personnel issues and et cetera. But look, you could have kept Morris. Morris had a 2-year better record than Stefanski did his last 2 years. The coach before that of the Falcons, the offensive coordinator that was in Pittsburgh this year, his last 2 years were better than the current one. You can't go back to the last 2 seasons for Stefanski that the Falcons hired. You got to go way back to Marion Campbell. That's how far you got to go back. No, I'm not impressed with his hire at all. I'm sorry. To me, it's a risk. And second of all, where's the rush? You could have took your time. Nobody was in a hurry to hire Stefanski. The only guy, Larry, that they were in a hurry to hire would have anybody was in a hurry to hire was John Harbaugh, and we all knew he was going to the Giants or the Dolphins. Period. And and if they would have just waited a couple of days, they would have had the opportunity. I'm not saying they would have got him, because they probably wouldn't have, because they're the Falcons. They could have waited a few days. The Bills fired Sean McDermott. That's somebody the Falcons could have interviewed. What was the rush to hire Stefanski? I mean, he wasn't going anywhere. Nobody was going to hire him immediately. I mean, how can you have been certain, or anyone that could have been certain, that Stefanski was your best option when you didn't get the chance to interview a candidate as accomplished as McDermott, who made the playoffs every year in Buffalo except for 2 seasons, and he made the playoffs with Tyrod Taylor as his quarterback. The Falcons never gave themselves the option or the opportunity. And honestly, Matt Ryan was a great quarterback, and he's a Hall of Famer. But you can see his inexperience already on the job in week 1. I'm sorry. There was no reason to rush this at all. Nothing. And Stefanski, he had multiple second interviews lined up. So, let him go on the second interviews. What was the rush? He was going to take his time. I just think the Falcons hurried it, and they didn't need to hurry. And look who could have fell on their lap. I mean, they weren't getting Mike Tomlin. I think he's done. I don't think he's even coming back after a year. He's been at it 19 years. And guys, who would have thought at the beginning of the year that Tomlin was going to be done, Harbaugh was going to be done, and McDermott was going to be done? What are their odds? Because I would have loved to go up to Murphy, North Carolina, and bet a parlay on that one. Think about that. Think about the odds of that happening. They're very low. And, I mentioned Stefanski's record the last 2 years. I know, like I said, everybody's pointing to his 2-11 win playoff season, but everybody's also forgetting about the fact, or ignoring it, that 4 of his 6 seasons were losing seasons. I mean, like I said, Morris had a better record. Arthur Smith had a better record his last 2 years. Dan Quinn had a better record. And, what does Bill Parcells say? You are what your record says you are. And I don't think this is good for Falcons season tickets. I do not. And saying Stefanski is a good coach. And look, he is a good football coach who would be coaching at the NFL level, right, guys? So,
Correct.
But look at Larry. Look at Atlanta's personnel at quarterback. You've got a guy with torn ACLs galore in Penix who'll be ready earliest at week 5. You have another guy that's another year older, and he's not going to get any better in Cousins. You have an offensive line that's pretty good, but it's not good enough to block for a quarterback that needs the max protection all the time, who still has an excellent arm but doesn't get around well. So your personnel is still not great, and you can't even win the weakest division in the NFL. And maybe you will win the weakest division in the NFL, but all you're going to get next year is a first-round exit. I'm sorry. This team is still away from being good. And, why didn't they look at defensive coordinator Chris Shula? Look at the job he has done. Don Shula's grandson, by the way, and his dad coached the Bengals, Dave Shula. So think about that. Think about that. That guy's sitting there. That's why, you have to be patient with the Falcons. They rushed in haste to hire Stefanski, and I don't even think he was the second best candidate out there. That's my opinion. And I'm sorry if I'm long-winded. Me and you can and Wayne can have a conversation back and forth about it, because I definitely would like to.
Well, I'll be the first to tell you, and Wayne, I'm coming right to you here, that I did some research this week just to figure out why is it that the Falcons' tendency in making hires is so quick. So the last time the Falcons had to really wait for their head coach is when Dan Quinn was hired. And the only reason that they had to wait then is because he was playing for a Super Bowl. In the Arthur Smith cycle, when the Falcons hired him, he was hired 3rd overall in their coaching class. The next 2 immediate hires following him, Nick Sirianni to the Eagles, which blew me just completely away. And then I can't even remember who the last one was off the top of my head, but they were both 2 playoff coaches. In Raheem's cycle, the first 2 coaches was Jim Harbaugh, who was taken off, and Raheem was 3rd in the coaching cycle. The next 2 to follow him, Dan Campbell. I think Dan Campbell might have been the one that was hired right after Sirianni in Arthur Smith's coaching cycle. But Harbaugh was hired in Raheem's cycle right after that, first. But right after Raheem was hired, it was.
I can tell you,
Canales.
Larry, you got to remember two of the 4 guys. If I don't mind saying, sorry, I don't mind saying 2 of the 4 guys that the Falcons had a chance to hire, and McDonald's coaching this weekend for Seattle, and Vrabel's coaching for the Patriots. Now, who knows if they would have chosen Atlanta, because in the Falcons' defense, Vrabel was going to New England all along. I know it wasn't the time for him to go there. He would have had to wait. But I didn't see Vrabel coming here. And McDonald, he wanted to go west to Seattle. The people criticize the Falcons for that. That's not fair. But it's just wild that they had the opportunity to get those two guys. And if you want to get a guy, Larry, you got to get him in the building and keep him in the building until you sign him. Don't let him loose to the next guy. If you know it's their guy, maybe they thought Stefanski was, and that's how they signed him. I don't know. But two of the four guys that they could have had are coaching in their conference championship games this weekend. Sorry to interrupt you. I didn't mean to.
No, you good, and that's kind of my point. Is Atlanta's propensity has always been to rush the hire, which makes me almost believe that Matt didn't make this hire. I almost think that Arthur Blank made this hire, and is just using Matt because he's the face, he's the person that the people love. But I still think behind the scenes, because Arthur Blank arranged the dinner, he arranged the steak and potato meal, he arranged everything from top to bottom. I really honestly think this was Arthur Blank's hire and Arthur Blank's doing, as opposed to Matt Ryan's doing, even though everybody's trying to credit Matt with the hire. But Wayne, you tell me what you think before I dive all the way up into my take.
Well, wasn't this Stefanski guy Kirk Cousins quarterback coach up at Minnesota?
He was.
Well,
Yeah,
I think Kirk Cousins may have had some vocal or some input on that hire.
Well, here's a couple of different things.
I disagree with. I'm sorry, I disagree with that. The reason I disagree with that is because I don't think the Falcons just cut his salary down so they can cut him March. I think they're going to cut him. I wouldn't cut him if I was the Falcons because he's going to be your best quarterback. But if they do cut him, that means they got to go get another quarterback. Sorry about that, gentlemen.
No, you're good, and you're absolutely right. You took the words right out of my mouth. I think Kurt restructuring his salary pretty much is 99.9999% certain that he will not be back as an Atlanta Falcon. So I think three things are definitely probable. Number one, I think your second-round pick is going to be a quarterback because I do not believe that there is a free agent one out there available that they are willing to go sign that is going to be able to be a stopgap halfway, mend the bridge type of quarterback, so to speak, until Michael Penix is healthy. Number two, I've said this, and I know people hate it, but I've said this from the jump. I would talk to the New York Giants and figure out what fifth, sixth, or seventh round draft pick I have got to come off with, and I will go get Jameis Winston. I know he's going to throw 30 touchdowns. I know he's going to throw 30 interceptions, but I believe that he would be a better mentor and sideline helper for Michael while he's being helped. I think he could fill in for at least 4 to 5 weeks and still make you competitive in the NFC South. I think he would be just as good as Baker Mayfield. I think he would be just as good as Tyler Shook, and I think he would be just as good as Bryce Young. The issue that I have is the staff that's being put around him. Now, Callahan was hired as an offensive line coach, and I'm cool with that. He's one of the best ever. So I'm cool with that. This offensive coordinator hire is what I'm shaking my head at, and I don't know a whole lot about his history. I don't know a whole lot about how he came to be. I know he was on Saban's staff one time at Alabama, and Saban said he's one of the brightest up-and-coming head coaches or up-and-coming coaches in the industry. So you got to kind of support. If Saban gives you a vote of confidence, you kind of got to support it. But I don't know if I'm going to like Tommy Rees or not. Yeah, I don't know if I'm going to like Tommy Rees or not yet. So we're
what, Wayne? You know what? Larry, about Tommy Rees, if you don't mind me saying, look,
sure.
I mean, he's got pretty good pedigree. I do like the hire as Tommy Rees as offensive coordinator. If they do hire him, and it looks like potentially they will. He was in that role under Stefanski in Cleveland, pass game specialist. I mean, he was a very good tight ends coach. He learned a lot under the Saban tree. He was a quarterback at Notre Dame. I mean, I do actually like this because he was Nick Saban's offensive coordinator in Alabama in 2023. And I do like that hire. Now, in terms of the DC, they kept the same guy, and that was a good move by the Falcons too. That was a very good move. But in terms of, in terms of, you were saying free agent quarterbacks, I think the Giants are already looking into signing. You'd have to blow the Giants away with a lot of money to get Jameis in here. I mean, because you'd have a chance to potentially to get him, but you look at this class and it's Garoppolo, Trubisky, Case Keenum, Trey Lance, Marcus Mariota, Bridgewater, who has been coaching sports, so there isn't really any depth at all. You're going to have to make a trade to get a quarterback. So would I keep Cousins if I was the Falcons? Yeah, because he's the best of the lot. But if they get rid of him, and I got to ask you this, Larry, I don't think it's going to work out with Penix. Not because of not his ability. Well, some of it is, but most of it is he just can't stay healthy. And once you tear those ACLs multiple times like he has, I just don't see it. And the Falcons spent all that money on Cousins and then turn around and drafted him 7th. That's unfortunately what did in the GM and the regime. And what are your thoughts on that? And sorry to step in on that. I was just trying to help you with Reese.
No, you're good. You're good. No. And I had his name. I was just like, I don't know a lot about his background and whatnot. And my whole thing right now, really, honestly, is because when the Falcons made the announcement of who they were going to hire, I wasn't crazy about it. Many knew from the jump that I really wanted them to try to do everything that they could to see if they could talk Mike Tomlin into coming down and hanging out, considering he's got a lot of ties in the area and whatnot. But my whole philosophy and mindset right now is just sit and wait. I've been through this several times with the Atlanta Falcons, and as much of a fan as I am, I have made the mindset that I'm not going to invest any more emotional instability, no more high blood pressure, no more glitching and flinching out and going cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs over decisions that millionaires make that I don't have any input in whatsoever. I'm going to wait and see how it works out. I'm going to give Penix this next year to see if he can kind of get back on the right track, because he's got a lot to work towards. He's got a lot of adversity to battle, and he's got a lot of hills to climb. To the point of if it's going to work out, who knows? I said it was stupid to draft a quarterback when you already had one that you were paying almost $200 million for in a contract. It was stupid to draft one. I don't care where you fell in your lap, but that's neither here nor there at this point. It goes along with some of the decision making that the former regime made that has this. I don't even want to call it. They have this imaginary strategy of doing things that absolutely make no sense, which is why the roster is in the shape that it's in now. Terry Fontenot did some good things, but this whole sign Cousins to half a Brinks truck full of money and then draft a quarterback with your first round pick right afterward, that just was as backwards can get. But moving right along with it, I'm gonna wait and see. I'm gonna see how Matt does. Matt needs somebody with some experience in the building. I think Stefanski's staff is going to be full of people with experience. I think that's going to be able to help Matt understand how the business side of football works outside of being an agent and outside of being an athlete. So I believe that's going to be able to work. I just wish that Arthur Blank would allow him the space to be able to do this his way and not be trying to do like a daddy with a son, trying to, teach him how to drive, but staying in the car in the driver's seat while Matt's in the passenger seat watching him operate the vehicle. So
be that as Larry, it may. I think Ryan actually did make the hire. I think he had to get a final approval from Blank. I do think that happened. I mean, you hired Ryan to make these decisions, but you're not going to let him make the final decision. I actually think it was Matt Ryan's decision, and Blank signed off on it because he's got the final say. But I'll go back to my original thing. Why would you not wait? It wasn't like these teams. No way was Baltimore going to hire Stefanski after the success of Harbaugh after all these years. No way were they hiring a guy that was 8-26. No way was Pittsburgh hiring a guy that's 8-26. We'll get into who some of these teams may hire shortly. No way was Baltimore doing it because this record was worse than McDaniels. We could go on and on. You did not have to rush to hire Stefanski. And you could have had a guy, well, I don't think they would got McDermott because they're the Falcons, but he had 98 regular season wins in 9 years, 5 AFC titles, 2 AFC championship games. And now that Buffalo job, the Pittsburgh job, and the Baltimore job is open for business. And there are some really good young candidates for the Rams, the OC and DC. Plus, you got Joe Brady up there in Baltimore or Buffalo, who was the OC. There's a lot of good candidates, and we'll see how it shakes out. But why the Falcons did not hire his GM first and then hire the coach? Again, the rush job. And Larry and Wayne, I don't get it. I know the Falcons did a lot of preliminary interviews. You know, they did a lot of, what do you call it, Zoom interviews with coaches. They did that, but they just, again, it was way too fast. I mean, I know they interviewed 9 guys, and we don't need to go into them, but most of them weren't even in the building. And most of the guys they interviewed, I mean, Hafley already got a job. Minter's not going to come to the Falcons. He's probably going to get the Baltimore job. I mean, I always say, this is one thing I say to teams, don't, like for Pittsburgh, what do? The last 3 hires they've made, they've gotten their own guy. Don't go get your Mike Tomlin. Don't get Mike Tomlin. I don't think he's ever going to coach again. And I know he's got a tie here because his daughter plays sports at UGA. But go find your Mike Tomlin. And that's what the Steelers have done for their last 3 coaching hires. And they've only made 3 since 1969. They've all been under the age of 40, and they've all defensive coordinators. And that's why I think Chris Shula is the guy that Pittsburgh's going to hire. Even though they did hire Mike, they interviewed Mike McCarthy today. He's from Pittsburgh. He won a Super Bowl in Green Bay. Everybody was saying, go after Harbaugh, go after Harbaugh, go after Harbaugh. Mike McCarthy is Harbaugh. Go look at their records. Go look at their coaching record, guys. They're identical twins. One Super Bowl. Go look at it. They won each Super Bowl. It's an amazing achievement. Go look at the regular season record. Very similar. Go look at their playoff record. Very similar. I would have taken Mike McCarthy before Stefanski. They didn't even interview Mike McCarthy. And Mike McCarthy did a good job in Dallas, and Jerry Jones still fired him. Well, he made the playoffs there every year but one, and they fired him. Mike McCarthy is John Harbaugh, and guess what? You don't have to pay him $100 million to come in the building. You could have had Mike McCarthy over Stefanski. No, it's a reach. It's a rush, and I think it's going to be an epic failure.
Well, we've got a lot to look forward to because if the reports are accurate and Reeves is the offensive coordinator, we know Ulbrich is going to be retained as the defensive coordinator. Still a lot of spots to be able to fill, and I think that is the main reason why the Falcons are waiting so late to announce Kevin Stefanski as the head coach and actually have his press conference. That is scheduled for January 27th, however. So I think it's going to give Coach Stefanski some time to get his staff in place, so everybody that needs to be present and have questions asked to him will be there in the press conference room there in Flowery Branch. With that being said, Wayne, I got one more for you, sir.
All right.
Baker Mayfield tweeted out to Atlanta Falcons senior beat reporter D. Orlando Ledbetter and kind of let everybody know that Coach Stefanski didn't really treat him the way he thought he ought to be treated there while he was in Cleveland before he shipped out. And Baker made it known today that he is looking forward to seeing him twice in the NFC South battles. Question, Wayne. Do we have the makings of some NFC South beef here between Baker Mayfield and Coach Kevin Stefanski already, even before he sits in the chair in the press conference?
Well, I certainly hope so. I would like to see all that kind of stuff injected into the NFL, and let's talk about that instead of some of the other nonsense that they start talking about during commercial breaks and all that other stuff. I don't know. It sounds to me like Baker Mayfield's just wanting to, get some attention or something. So we'll let him do that, and that'll be cool, and then we'll move on.
Well, we will. I found it interesting when I saw it. I said, Baker's got some bridges he needs to burn. He has got some crawls he needs to get up under. He's like, I got receipts from some things, Coach. We'll see you in a couple of months here, and before you know it, it'll blink. It's going to be good stuff between Atlanta and Tampa this year. Any final words on the coaching hire of Kevin Stefanski and the offensive coordinator reported hire of Tommy Reeves at all?
No, I'm good, and I'll probably still be as much of Atlanta Falcons fans as I have been, no matter who the coach is or who the quarterback is.
Agreed.
There you go.
Agreed.
I want loyalty.
Absolutely.
And you know what?
Yep.
Larry, I can't wait till the Falcons play the Bucs because I think Baker Mayfield's going to light the Falcons up. I'm just telling you, Baker has the axe to grind, and if you've seen him over the years, if he's got an axe to grind with someone, he gets his revenge. It fuels him. You can see it. No, I think the Buccaneers, I think Baker Mayfield is really looking forward to putting it to Kevin Stefanski, and I think it's personal. You don't put a tweet out on social media like he did without really meaning it, and he has not forgotten it, obviously, and boy, I tell you what, I think Baker will play great against the Falcons like he always does, and he'll even play even better next year. So we should go on and talk about the other teams and their coaching search. Yeah, like Pittsburgh, like the one I just mentioned, because
what's the best job out there?
To me, you think the Pittsburgh job is?
No, I'm saying, what do you think the best remaining job available open is?
Oh, well, they're all good jobs. They're professional jobs. That's what you make the job to be out to be. You've got it. Whoever the coach is and whatever the name of the team is, the common denominator is good players. You don't have good players, I don't give a rat's bit how good of a coach you are, you're going to lose. That's it. You're going to lose. Now, when you look at the rosters between Pittsburgh, Baltimore, Buffalo, and whoever else is left is a drop-off, it's definitely Buffalo's roster. They got Josh Allen. I know the Ravens have got I know who they have a quarterback too. That's fine, Lamar. But I definitely think it's the Buffalo job. And who are the Bills going to get to replace Sean McDermott? Who are they going to get that's as good as Sean McDermott? They're not getting Harbaugh. They're not getting Tomlin. I think he's done. He's definitely done for a year, and he said that from the beginning. He was taking a year off. So who are they going to get? Who are they going to get that's left out there? Buffalo. They're going to go with the young guy. I don't know who they're going. There's a bunch of candidates out there. Green Bay's coach is staying. So when you look at the Bills candidates, and Brady. Think about it. They're candidates for head coach. Brian Dable. Uh, he's got a connection, obviously, with the star quarterback here in Buffalo, obviously. But Dable didn't do very well at all in New York. We know Joe Brady. The Jaguars offensive coordinator, the Dolphins D coordinator, Anthony Weaver. There's a lot. There's nobody has the resume of Brian Dable or Sean McDermott, excuse me, and they fired him. So I don't know who the Bills are going to get. I have no idea. Pittsburgh, I think it's going to be Shula. I just think it is based on the last three hires that they've made since 1969 and how long they've been there. I think it's screaming Shula in Pittsburgh. Baltimore, who are the Ravens candidates? Look at it. They're going to have plenty of them. And guess what? Do they go get Sean McDermott? I'm thinking they are.
That would be amazing.
Pittsburgh hired. I'm sorry, what?
I said that would be amazing, to be honest with you. For McDermott to leave Buffalo with Josh Allen and then go to Baltimore and have Lamar Jackson, that would be top notch.
It would
that would definitely be top notch.
It would be top. Yeah, think about it, because McDermott could go to Baltimore. He could go to Pittsburgh, but that's not Pittsburgh's MO. Look, Mike McCarthy's sitting out there. Think about that. Mike McCarthy's sitting out there. He's sitting there, and he's John Harbaugh, except he's cheaper. That's what I mean. There's big names still out there. Joe Brady's the offensive coordinator is out there. The NFL is about connections and relationships. And that's going to lead Buffalo's ownership, who they kept, Bean. And I wouldn't have kept Bean over McDermott. No way. No way. His draft record is not as good as McDermott's coaching record. It's just not. Go look at it. No, I would have kept McDermott. Who are you going to get any better? But it's going to benefit either Baltimore, the Ravens. It's screaming for him to go there. I could see the Baltimore's, ownership doing that. So, what do you think, Larry?
Well, I'll tell you the first thing. I think you're right when Mike McCarthy is probably going to be the favorite to be Pittsburgh's next head coach. But there's some things that are transpiring in the Buffalo. Mike McCarthy is actually the favorite per several inside reporters to be the next head coach of the Pittsburgh Steelers.
I can see that, maybe, but maybe not.
But some breaking news here being released over the last hour. Several reports are that Josh Allen, due to the press conference that was had today by Buffalo GM and owner about the Keon Coleman draft and how they didn't back it up. They were just playing good. Reports are saying that Josh Allen is very upset and disturbed about the way that they are portraying the Buffalo organization and could be potentially working on his way out of Buffalo. So that is big time if that's the case, because there is a certain team.
Did you notice that Terry? Hey, Larry, did you notice Terry Bagula was covering? He was defending Brandon Beane, and he was attempting to explain Beane's role in selecting Coleman, saying it was that it was the coaching staff that was the one that was doing this, and he addressed it. But it just seems to me that it's all one opinion. All the GM and the coach have to work together, and then it comes down to a power decision. Sorry, I didn't interrupt you. I hate this phone stuff or this not seeing you tonight. But and
No,
that
you're
way we wouldn't
good.
have to cross each other so much. You know what I mean? Sorry about that. So, I just found that interesting. And I also found something really interesting for John Harbaugh. Everybody's going, well, you have more power than the GM. And I do believe he does. But he said, me and the GM are working together, and it's really no big deal. We all work together anyway. Well, that may be true, but Harbaugh, as you know, Larry, you and I agree on this. We follow the money. Harbaugh's calling the shots, and the Giants ownership is going to sign off on it. They have the final say. But Harbaugh has more power than the current Giants GM Joe Shane. There's just no doubt about it.
Agreed.
There's just no doubt about it. Because, well, he's making way more than Joe Shane, and they kept Joe Shane, and they fired Dable instead. So that's so interesting, this power structure and how teams do it, because generally it is ownership, the GM and the coach. But the Giants said, you know what, Joe Shane, you're going to work with John Harbaugh, and that's going to be the end of it. And he's going to have the final say, and you all can have all the conversations you want. And Harbaugh said, well, this isn't no big deal. Yeah, it's no big deal to you because you're the one that has the final say. So
Mm-hmm.
I find all that very interesting when I mentioned.
No, you're absolutely right, and there's so much more that still has to transpire when it comes to the NFL head coaching carousel and some of the things that are transpiring as a result of coaches being let go and fired and moving on. But let's move on. We'll go ahead and move on to the next topic. We did get a chance to see the Indiana Hoosiers run the table and go 16-0 on Monday night as they defeated my beloved Miami Hurricanes by one score, and I was so hurt. But I got to give credit to
Is
where
that your
credit is
favorite
due.
team?
Yes, Miami is my favorite college
Is that,
team. Yes.
oh, I'm really sorry that happened to you.
Yeah, I'm okay. You get a chance to show up once every 22, 23 years. What are you gonna do? But I got to give credit, and I said if Indiana won, which I expected them to win, but Miami covered. We'll talk about that here in just a moment. Um, I expected Indiana to win, and I just want to congratulate Coach Signetti, Fernando Mendoza, and the Indiana Hoosier program for doing this the right way. And when I say that, if you look at the stories of some of the athletes on the Indiana Hoosiers and where they came from, and how Kirk Signetti basically took a group of five athletes, some D2s, some D3s, pulled them together, sprinkled a couple of five stars in the middle, and has basically resurrected the Indiana football program over the last 2 and 3 years to a powerhouse. I would have never thought in my lifetime that I would even see the such. But Coach Signetti, it is what is right with college sports, where so many other areas is so wrong. And I won't talk about it tonight. We'll save that for next week because I do want to take a deep dive into what's wrong with college athletics because I do believe it's no longer college sports anymore. I
It's
think
out
it's
of
semi-pro.
control.
It's semi-pro, but we'll talk
It's
about
out of
that next
control.
week. And you're absolutely right. But congratulations to everybody in the Bloomington, Indiana fan base that got to celebrate their beloved Hoosiers winning the national title, the college football playoff national title. But next year is going to be bananas with everything that we've seen go zippity doo dah, zippity yay when it comes to the transfer portal. Guys, let's go ahead and jump into this pick six. Time is going on us. We will jump into it. And I tell you what, boys, it is getting down to the nitty gritty, and we are all neck and neck when it comes to the pick six. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, it is time for the infamous pick six. Six of the best football games. It will be all from pro this time. College football is done. Spreads are from today per ESPNBet.com. Our records as of this week. JJ is 45-46. He went 2-4 last week. TC is at 47-44 along with Wayne. Both of them went 3-3 last week, and I'm right there a game behind JJ, and 3 games behind Wayne and TC. I'm at 44 and 47. I went 4-2 last week, so I was able to pick up a game on them and 2 on JJ. But here we go, ladies and gentlemen. The first game pits the New England Patriots at the Denver Broncos, who unfortunately got the bad news that their starting quarterback, Bo Nix, would be out for the remainder of the playoffs due to a broken ankle. So the Auburn Tiger from the Fighting Wayne Ridenours, Jarrett Stidham, is going to be leading the Denver Broncos with a chance to go to the Super Bowl. This game is Sunday, 3 p.m. on CBS. New England is favored by 5.5, and that line continues to grow every day. TC, what you think?
Yeah. I think New England's going to win the game and barely cover. I think it's going to be closer than everybody says. I think the game's going to be probably a 6 or 7 point game. I mean, Denver's playing at home, and Sean Payton does a great job with quarterbacks. And Stidham's been there. I know he hasn't played much except for preseason the last 2 years. And the key to the game is obviously is Denver going to be able to run the ball to give Stidham a chance. You know, they're going to give him easy throws to get him set in. You're going to see screen passes. You're going to see, 4 or 5 outs. You're going to might see a crossing route of 5 or 6 yards across. You're going to see all kinds of easier throws for him. Try to give him time, get his feet wet. They have a very good defense. They've been having trouble running the ball due to the injury at the running back position. So, and then of course in the Patriots, their defense is very good. Their quarterback play is real solid. I mean, I like New England to win and cover, but I think this game is going to be a pretty close game because it is a championship game at home, and Sean Payton will have Stidham ready to play the best he can. It's a very tough assignment to play your first game in an AFC championship game after 2 years. But remember, the Eagles did it. They won the Super Bowl with a backup quarterback not that long ago. So it is possible, but that quarterback had several games, to play before the playoffs. So he had some chances to play. Where Stidham's not, this is it. He's going to step in. I like the Patriots to win, and in this game, I like the under.
He got 2 of them out the way real quick.
Yeah, just easier just to do that. I like the Patriots cover. That's 1. Number 2, I like the game to go under 41.5. The defenses are very good.
He likes the under. Wayne, what say you?
Yep. Well, on the game itself, I'm going to pick Denver in the points.
Okay, Denver in the points. And how about over under? The total is 41.5.
I'm going to go over on that because I think Stidham's going to be much better than everybody expects.
I honestly think this is going to mess around and be a shootout. I think it's going to be very similar to what we saw last weekend with the Rams and the Bears. I think they're going to play close for like 3 quarters, and I think on the 4th quarter, I think they're going to start hitting it where the defenses start wearing each other out, and people are offensively going to be able to take their shots. I think this is Drake May saying, listen, y'all may not vote for me. Y'all are in love with Matthew Stafford, but I promise you, I'm here to stay. I'm showing y'all what I'm able to do. I think Drake May is going to have himself a whale of a game. I think Patrick Surtain is going to have that defense locked for Denver, but I do believe it is going to be back and forth toward the 4th quarter. I won't go any longer with it, but I do believe New England comes out on top, but I do believe Denver closes. I think this is going to be a 24-20 game, which is why I'm also going on my over-under. I think it's going to be an over. I think it's going to be over. I think it's going to be a 24-20 game, a 24-21 type game, 3-4 points on the spread. But I do believe that it'll be over on that. So that covers that. JJ says that he believes the Patriots are going to cover, and he is taking the under on the over-under 41.5.
So you and Wayne are the same, and me and Wayne are the same, and me and JJ are the same, and you and Wayne are the same. How interesting.
Yep. We're splitting it twinsies today, 2-2.
All right.
Here we go. The third total thing in that is Jared Stidham's total passing over under 188 and a half yards. Since he is an Auburn guy, I'm going to start off with Wayne. Wayne, do you think he's going over or under 188 and a half?
Man, I think he's going over.
Over.
Wow.
Okay. TC?
I've got under, and JJ has under too. What do you have, Larry?
Yeah, I'm going under, man. I think they're going to run this football 30 times. I don't think Peyton is going to put Stidham to where he's got to throw the football 20, 25, or even 30 times. I think it is going to be a steady diet of the run game. I think you'll get selective play action throws, maybe some bootlegs, maybe some outs. But I think this game plan, at least this week, is going to be very scaled back. If they happen to win and go on to the Super Bowl, I think Sean Payton will open up the playbook even more so because they'll have a full 2 weeks to prepare for whomever they're going to face. But I think this week in particular, I know they've had a great week of practice, but up until this point, I think they're going to scale back the playbook just a little bit, and I do believe that Stidham's yardage will be under 188 and a half. Let's move on to number 4. It'll
Larry, be really cool if they did open up the offense and throw some deep passes down the field for Stidham. If he could complete one of them, it would open up and get that Denver defense out of that dare you throw deep situation and would open up all kinds of plays. Like the first play of the game, if they did a play action pass and threw for it and got a big gain, I would come out and let it rip on the first play of the game. They would never suspect it.
Well, two things going to work to their advantage. Number one, Stidham's got the arm to be able to do it. And number two, with that game being in Denver at Empower Field at Mile High, everybody talks about it, but the atmosphere and the altitude will play a big factor in New England. And are they going to be up to it and start, instead of being on the sideline sucking oxygen, trying to get that second win as the game wears on? So it would be if Sean Payton would say, you know what, I'm going to throw it to the wind. This is a chance to go to the Super Bowl. And he just says, Jared, let's go win it. And he does open up the playbook. I'd love it. I just don't see it happening. But be that as it may, continuing on with number 4 in our pick 6, the Los Angeles Rams, led by what many believe to be the NFC MVP favorite, Matthew Stafford, on the road at a team that will be the third time they have played this season, up at CenturyLink Field, Seattle, Washington, the Seattle Seahawks, the opponent. This will be 6:30 p.m. on Fox. It is the NFC Championship game. Seattle is favored by 2.5. Wayne, what say you?
I'm taking Rams in the points.
Ooh, the Rams. All right, then. PC, about you, man?
You know what? You took the Rams and the points. You might as well do what we could kill, boost some time along, and just kill 3 birds. Because in that game, I've got the Rams and the points. I actually think the Rams are going to win it, and I think the Rams are going to win the Super Bowl. I'm going to pick the over because I think Stafford's going to have a good game, and obviously he's going to get over the 257. So I have the Rams and the points, the over and the over. JJ has the Seahawks covering. He's got the Seahawks covering, so he took Seattle. He's got the under, and he's got Stafford on the over. So that kills the two of us right there. I think, man, real quick, they the first game Los Angeles won. The second game they had a big lead and they blew it. I don't think they blow anything this time. I think the Rams win it all, kind of like Pittsburgh did with Jerome Bettis. 3 games on the road and then win the Super Bowl. That's what I am.
All right, then, TC. I'm going, and I won't go into reason why, but I'll give you 2 reasons why. Seattle's defense is top notch. Both times that the Rams played the Seahawks, They have had to have big games by both Devontae Adams and Puka Nacua just to be able to get things done. The one point that you made that's really stuck with me in picking this game, TC, is how Los Angeles has been able to build big leads. First time they was able to hold on, the second time they were not. And even injured Sam Darnold put on a passing clinic last week against the 49ers. I'm taking Seattle for mine. The over-under, I'm taking the under in points. I think this is going to be a defensive battle. But I do think Matthew Stafford will have over 257 yards. I think if for them to be able to win, which I don't think they will, but in order for them to be able to win, I think Stafford's he's got to put up 300 plus, and he's got to put up 3 touchdowns. I know Blake Corum and Williams have been a great duo out of the backfield, but I think for the Rams to be able to win, he's got to put over 257, and I think he will. I just don't think they're going to be able to get enough to be able to win. I think Seattle's defense is going to hold on just enough to be able to pull out this victory. And what I think is, in my gut, even though I'm going with Seattle to cover the 2.5, I think this is going to be a 1-point football game. I really do. I really think this is going to be a 1-point football game. These teams have seen each other. They know each other very well. This ain't going to be like somebody knowing this is a short trip up the coast. This ain't a long trip. You know the environment. Seattle's 12th man is going to sound like 24 men. I think it is going to be a raucous environment up in the Pacific Northwest. So there you have it. TC told us what JJ had. Of course, the cover again, JJ Patriots cover under 41.5. The under for the 188.5. The Seahawks cover under 47.5 and over 257.5 for JJ. And that wraps up our infamous Pick 6 segment. It's time for our final thoughts. And TC, we will start with you, sir.
Oh, you forgot Wayne. Hey, I'm sorry. You forgot Wayne's over and under.
Okay, my bad, Wayne. I'm sorry.
I just thought I'm so used to doing one thing at a time. I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm doing under on both of those, so that's good.
Under on both of them. So you're picking Seattle to cover and under on both. So yep. Seattle covers under 47.5 and under 257.5. Good deal.
I've got the Rams in the points and under on total points and under on the Stafford passing.
Got you. So the Rams in the points, under 47.5.
Right.
And under 257.5 for Wayne.
Right. Gotcha.
Got it. All right. So that corrects that part, and that officially wraps up our Pick 6 segment. And again, it is time for our final thoughts. TC, your final thought for the night, sir.
I'm going to go with 3 of them. They're going to be really quick. There's no question that Bills wide receiver Brandon Cooks clearly caught the ball. The rule simply states that once he catches the football and he's on the ground and he's touched, he's down. You're not allowed to take the ball away from the receiver when he's already down and then have it. That is absolutely horrible. The NFL needs to get more. They need to go back to the ruling, and they've got to be able to change their officiating, where the guy in the white hat needs to be full-time. He needs to be in charge of his crew and sit up in the booth and make sure that his crew is doing the job from the eye in the sky. That has to be changed. As soon as he caught the ball, you saw the replay. He went down, he had it, and that's when the defender took it away. That's too late. Once the defender catches it, once Cooks catches it, and he's down, the receiver, it's too late to take it away. That's one. Number 2, Fernando Mendoza, what a class act. There is no question. I'm not sure if I would take this kid as the number 1 pick in the NFL draft if I'm an NFL team. I definitely think maybe the late first round. But the first pick of the draft, he would go to the Raiders, and they're going to have 10 picks. They're going to have a really young team. I think he'd be in a much better situation to go to a team late in the first round that is good and sit and learn instead of potentially having to play immediately. And they don't even have a head coach yet. And he could use actually another year of college, could Mendoza. He has another year of eligibility. But I tell you what, that touchdown he made in the game where he got propelled up in the air and broke that tackle reminded me of John Elway in the Super Bowl years ago against Green Bay. And congratulations to Indiana. Number 3, watching Paul Feinbaum eat crow and saying what I've been saying now for 3 straight years. The Big Ten is the best conference in college football, bar none. The numbers in the regular season, the numbers in the postseason, the head-to-head, I'm sorry, it's not close. Well, it's close, but they're the best team. They're the best conference in college football. The last 3 teams have won national titles. They actually won it on the field and so get anointed to a game. And number 4, I'm sorry, I have 4. Nick Saban telling me that no southern players will go up to northern places to play college football. Excuse me, Anthony Carter is one of the best wide receivers in college football history, coming from South Florida, and he went and played for Michigan. I can give a million examples of guys that went to Ohio State from the Southeast before these guys supposedly weren't getting paid. I think they've been getting paid all along. And also, Nick, you coached up north before you coached down south, and he's from West Virginia, and neither the South nor the North claims West Virginia. So this north-south stuff is really stupid. There's really good football players all over the world. Peace out.
The rant is over. TC got it all out. He got it all out. Wayne, what say you, my friend?
Well, I just want to let everybody know that we'll be hoping that this winter storm thing that hits the Southeast is not going to be as severe, but also keep everybody in our prayers. This I'd hate to think people are going to get injured or hurt or anything else during something like this, but keep your head on your shoulders and work through it, and the weather ain't going to be like that forever.
Yeah, absolutely. If you remember 2014 here in the metro Atlanta area, we got an episode like that, and it crippled the city for 3 days. We were actually in it, and I was actually stranded on 285 for about 12 hours. Couldn't even move. So I'm well aware of what ICE can do to the metro Atlanta area, because everybody has the propensity to drive like they're either doing a trial race for Talladega or making sure their first Daytona Speedway start. My final thought is for, in my humble opinion, one of the greatest center fielders to ever play the game of baseball. And I want to say congratulations to one Mr. Andrew Jones for finally being elected to the Baseball Hall of Fame. Sorry it took so long for you, Andrew, but I was able to watch your entire career. You started the kid from Curacao up to Cooperstown. Your first at bat in 1996, I was a freshman in college. To see everything that you did for 10 consecutive Gold Gloves, the 50 home run season, everything that you and Chipper did as the Jones boys to alleviate and keep the name of Atlanta baseball going, we can't do nothing but congratulate you. That makes the 7th player from the 1996 Atlanta Braves team to make the Hall of Fame. So, Andrew Jones, congratulations on a wonderful career, and you will be forever immortalized in Cooperstown, where you belong. If you like the content, follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, X, all that good stuff. You can get the show as well on all the places you receive your podcasts: Google, Apple, Spotify, and more. For Wayne in Memphis, for TC in Woodstock, for JJ, who's on assignment in Lilburn under the weather, hope you get better, my guy. We'll see you next week. Ladies and gentlemen, you've been listening to this absolutely wonderful, jam-packed, information-loaded 218th edition of ATL Prime Sports. I'm LG. Get you one, and we'll see you later.
All right.